You're listening to Popcorn Pals with a very special interview episode where I sit down with actor Brian Van Holt to discuss his new film, Boneyard. I'm Timmy Flynn, movie buff, and this is Popcorn Pals, a popcorn podcast with Lee and Tim spin-off, and this is part 3 of my Boneyard interview series. Thank you so much for joining. When the skeletal remains of 11 women and girls are discovered in the New Mexican desert, an extensive investigation is launched. Inspired by true crime stories, Boneyard is a chilling crime thriller following Detective Ortega, Police Chief Carter, and Agent Petrovic in a multi-agency effort to identifying and apprehending the killer. As each of their agendas and methods clash, a tangled web of intrigue casts suspicion in all directions. Directed by Asif Akbar, Boneyard is from a screenplay by Akbar, Vincent E. McDaniel, Hank Bird, and Koji Stephen Sakai. Boneyard stars Brian Van Holt, Curtis 50 Cent Jackson, Nora Zehetner, Michael Ciro, and Mel Gibson. Brian Van Holt is an actor and director known for the film Den of Thieves and recurring roles on the Peacock TV miniseries Joe vs. Carol and the Fox TV series Deputy. From 2009 to 2015, Van Holt appeared as one of the 7 main characters on Cougar Town as Bobby Cobb, the ex-husband of lead character Jules Cobb and father of their son Travis. He appeared in 6 seasons of Cougar Town, exiting the show at the beginning of the 6th and final season. Van Holt kicked off his career with a role in A Very Brady sequel, all the way back in 1996, followed by appearances in episodes of Beverly Hills 90210, Spin City, and Sex and the City, and appeared in other feature films including Black Hawk Down, Wind Talkers, House of Wax, and SWAT. Serendipity brought co-star and co-writer Vincent E. McDaniel together on the set of another production, and Brian became involved in Boneyard 4 years later. A story he was very familiar with, given the exposure of the West Mesa murders in the news. He knew he needed to be involved. In our chat, Van Holt shares how co-star Vincent E. McDaniel approached him for the film, his process as an actor. We danced around some character spoilers carefully, and why he will never do a musical. Let's take a listen.
I read your file. You've been looking for the boogeyman. Instead, focus on the regular guy just hiding in plain sight.
Hello, Brian. It's great to meet you. Thanks for coming on the podcast to talk Boneyard.
Thank you. Hey, it's my pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Were you familiar with the West Mesa murders before the script for Boneyard landed on your lap?
I was. I did a TV show called Deputy. We filmed in Albuquerque, and this was like 4 years ago. When I was filming there, I was watching the local news, and something about this case came up. There was some new evidence that surfaced that got the local media's attention because it's a big story there, obviously. And I saw that on the news, the local news. The story intrigued me. They went in details of what was, everything that went down and where the case is now and was at that time. And then literally like the next week or that week, I just watched the whole episode of Dateline or 2020. I forget which one it was that was about this specific case in the West Mesa murders. And I got to spend a lot of time with APD. They did the show called Deputy. We had a lot of the Albuquerque Police Department worked with us, and I got to meet a lot of the detectives and some of them that actually worked on that specific case. Where I did look up online, I wanted to find out, before I even got this script, this is a couple of years ago, I wanted to understand the detective's journey on, because it's really fascinating and interesting story.
Now, true crime has always been a compelling vehicle for storytelling. For you personally, what grips you about that genre? I say genre, but it's true to life, right? Because these things happen outside of the movies, but we just use films as a vehicle to tell those stories, right?
That's right. I think what you're saying before, what's so gripping about and so chilling, it's that it's really happened. It's real. It's not make-believe. It's not a fictitious story. That's what's so fascinating, that human condition too. It's like I'm an actor. I'm interested in what makes up a character, a human being. And I was always interested in psychology growing up and in sociology. So it is, it's a bizarre kind of interest, but and sometimes, the truth is stranger than fiction.
Absolutely.
Chilling is the first thing that the word I think of that makes it more interesting, be a part of it, to watch as an audience.
Speaking of the psychology of things, all the characters, or most of the characters in the film, have some kind of trauma or baggage they are carrying. And your character, Detective Ortega, is no exception. What is he struggling with in the film?
I can't reveal exactly. I don't want it's a plot point and a twist. So I can't. I don't want to be spoiler. But Detective Ortega, he suffers a loss, and I think he feels responsible. He's partly
Mm.
responsible for a loss. His journey, one of redemption, for lack of a better way, of articulating it. But that's what drives him. That's what makes it so personal for Ortega. He's personally connected to this case in a deep way. Him trying to solve it might give him some sort of closure, a redemption, but I wish I could tell you more and be exact, but I just don't want to give away the plot point or twist. I don't want to spoil it.
No, totally. I think you navigated the world of avoiding those plot twists and spoilers.
I'm not good at
A rather unfair loaded question, mate.
it. Thank you. It's hard. It's hard.
It is hard. As an actor, carrying such trauma and anger must be quite taxing on you. How do you first reach those levels of anger that you need as an actor? And then how do you come down from going to those levels?
That's another great question. It's how do I get to those places? And you try to make stuff, we're doing make believe, right? And play and, acting, and you try to make things as personal as possible and something that you can connect or relate to. And then you just commit to it and you let it go. And, it's interesting. And then how do I decompress? Sometimes you can't help but take stuff home with you. It's, certain this job, some movies and some characters are much easier or less taxing to do. This one was kind of heavy. I found myself spending a lot of time just thinking about it, taking home. Like I just kind of got into the character too, about trying the need to solve a case and need. But I think this, for me as an actor too, the need to be, portray this guy in the most authentic way and believable way as possible. A lot of working out, a lot of meditation, try to stay away from the bottle.
I spoke to Nora last week and she was telling me how she leans into meditation to center herself back, and actually gave me some good tips, which I need to put into practice because I'm not the best to find a quiet moment myself.
It's not easy for me either, but she would go on hikes. She introduced me to a couple hiking trails and like nature stuff that, would help us calm us down. Yeah.
I love that. Brian, Vincent E. McDaniel, who plays Sergeant Graham in the film, was also one of the co-writers. Did that offer a unique experience collaborating on scenes together with him having contributed to the script?
That's how I got this script. I met Vincent on the when I was shooting Deputy. We shot in Albuquerque, and he helped out one week with craft service, and we struck up a conversation. Shooting, I don't know, we're shooting these ungodly hours, but we just connected. And he's like, "This isn't what I do. I'm a writer. I'm a filmmaker. I'm a producer." And he's like, "I like the way I've been watching you work, and I love the way you're on set. We're gonna make a movie together someday." And I'm like,
awesome.
Bring it. I know, bring it on. And lo and behold, 4 years later, this script comes by. So, and I had a relationship with Vinny, and I love him. He's and I'm so happy for him. Made it very open to collaborate, with the writing or the character. He was very open. I think he was expecting me to bring this guy to life and do my job and and give him layers and so yes, it made it very easy to collaborate with Vinny on this, and he let Mel Gibson and I, if we wanted to change some dialogue or restructure a scene or a moment, they were very open to it and they allowed us to do that, which for me was amazing because I got to write a couple of scenes with Mel Gibson and act opposite with him. So
yeah, that's all right, isn't it?
Yeah, that was a trip, man. It was surreal and but yet at the same time, it felt right at home, man. He's just such a good dude and just normal. He's a serious actor. He came in to do he was very invested, committed. I enjoyed working with him. Sometimes you get these films and some actors of that caliber will come in for a couple of days and just collect their paycheck and they'll bounce. Yeah. Not Mel. Mel cared about this and he was invested in it and totally committed, and he did such a good job and brought a lot to this character. I had the pleasure of working with him. I'm honored. It was a good good experience.
I like the serendipity of you and Vincent meeting under the circumstances that you did, and that journey over almost half a decade to get you involved in the project, and then obviously Asif casting Mel. It seems like a really great collaborative environment to be a part of, and a really important story to tell. So I really like hearing those sorts of insights into your experience. Brian, in wrapping up, thank you so much for your time. Really enjoyed speaking to you. We're all about celebrating the joy of cinema here at Popcorn Podcast. Could you recount an experience at the cinema or a moment in film that has brought you joy?
Oh my God. There's so many. Brought me joy. Okay, that's now you put me on the spot.
Sorry, I'm a bastard.
You bastard. That's my terrible Australian
Hey, that
accent.
was pretty good. I'll give you that.
I spent a lot of time in Australia. I've done 4 projects there, and I can't wait to go back. I'm very fond of it. I spent a lot of time in Newtown.
Oh, yeah, that's near where I live, actually.
My buddy, I'm good friends with Damon Harriman.
Oh, yes.
He's the best. With joy. I see. That's a tough question. Now you put me on the spot, which brings me. I mean, there's so many things. I mean, as a kid, don't admit that I can't wait. I loved Singing in the Rain. Was a movie that I just loved as a kid. And it's the exact opposite what my family and my friends would have thought, but I was obsessed with Singing in the Rain. That brought me a lot of joy.
Amazing. I love that answer.
I can't sing or dance, but I can dance maybe, but I can't sing for shit. So that's maybe why I love this song.
So no musical on the filmography coming up soon then, I guess.
Bad. I just sang at one audition. That was it. Never again.
You can be the speaking role, I don't know, in a musical. They're rare, but, they're needed as well.
Waiting for the AI thing to take over my voice where I could sing. That's coming soon.
There you go. Thanks so much, Brian. Enjoy the rest of your day.
My pleasure. Hey, you too. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
But I don't think our guy has any of those. He's a mission-oriented killer. He thinks he's making the world a better place.
Brian was such a wonderful person to talk to. I loved it. I learned a lot about how he approaches roles, the power of networking and connecting over important stories, and that he can't sing for shit. His words, but I can relate. Our coverage of Boneyard also includes chats with star Nora Zehetner and director and co-writer Asif Akbar and co-writer and star Vincent E. McDaniel, all of which are available now to listen to, friends, so get amongst it wherever you get your podcasts. Boneyard is now available to rent or buy nationwide across the US and Canada and is in US theatres from July 5th, with an Australian release yet to be confirmed. Thank you so much for joining me for this very special Popcorn Pals interview episode where I sat down with actor Brian Van Holt about his starring role in Boneyard. As always, friends, thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you next time. If you enjoy our episodes, head over to Apple Podcasts and subscribe. While you're there, we would love you to rate us and leave a review. You can also find us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Alexa, and where all good podcasts are found.